Hello. Good evening to everyone. Today is May 27th, 2020. This is recording number 55, entitled, I Am That I Am. And with that, we will begin with a meditation. The kingdom of God is within you. The I of you is God. So turn within to this I for its grace and its peace. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Do not ever forget that the Master's my peace is not the peace that the world gives. Those who want only the world's peace must find their own way of getting. It is because they will never get anything like that from God. If any man be secured to the vine, the life of God flows freely. But the natural man is like a branch separated, and his life withers. My life does not wither because I look not to the outer world. I look only to the world of God. I have the peace of God. And at every moment I turn within and I realize that God is with me. God is the essence of being, and there is nothing that can come that God has not already dealt with, not is going to deal with, not is getting ready to bless, but God has already sent into existence everything that man would need, because man is the love of God made visible. And without that love, man cannot exist. But with that love, man does exist, because God and man are inseparable. Speak, Lord. Speak, for I notice that you are thinking of yourself, and all is well. And so it is. And you wonder, why the pause? Why the pause after the meditation? Because we're like sponges. And if we reflect on what was meditated or contemplated, we as a sponge reach out and draw the truth of that contemplation. There is a law, the law of the universe, that most people overlook because they have never been made aware of it. What is it? You cannot get good and bad fruit from the same tree. You can't get bitter and sweet water from the same fountain. If you understand this, you realize there's a law that says you're either going to get this or you're either going to get that. And a double-minded man is going to get nothing. Nothing. So then you see all of these requests on Facebook, prayers, prayers, prayers. And then you see that same person coming, criticizing some situation. That's a double-minded man. They're not aware of it. They don't know. They don't realize I am that I am. You are the law unto your own being, and you must discipline yourself to keep yourself on the straight and narrow that the Father which you have been made to believe is some giant man or some giant something out there that sits on the throne and has the same qualities that we have. Have you noticed how people describe God? He punishes us for doing this, and he does good for that, and he thinks about this. That's not God. God is nothing like us. Absolutely nothing. Now, you'll have to get into some contemplation to figure out what I just meant when I said that. But when you understand that there is a law, and that law is running throughout this universe saying, I am the law unto your being. Think about Moses. When Moses comes to an understanding of the law, I am that I am, look how his nature changed. You don't see him fighting anybody. You don't see him criticizing anybody to the point of wishing that this would happen to them and that would happen to them. What do you see him doing? Contemplating God and watching God move him and the people. Now, people are able to be moved from slavery or incarceration to a form of freedom. But you notice every one of them did what? Died in the wilderness. Only two people went into the promised land. Out of all of those millions of people, Caleb and Joshua were the only two. Moses didn't even enter into the promised land that we see described out there. But Moses did enter the promised land. What was the promised land? Being able to understand God. Except a man understand God, he will bypass heaven 120 miles an hour, swearing he's on his way, not realizing the law, I am that I am. What is that law? Whatever you hold in your conscious awareness is what you are creating as your experience in this world. That's why you can ask yourself the question sometimes, how do those two people get together? Or why are they so in love with this person and I can't stand them? It's what you're holding in consciousness. That's the world that you're creating. So when stuff just keeps happening to you, check your conscience. Look to see what you hold in there, because that's what's coming at you. The law, I am that I am. How subtle is the law that brings about a strong wind of change? And you say, how subtle? Yeah. A thought just seems to just kind of float up out of nowhere and get in your consciousness, and it brings about a strong wind of change. Doesn't matter that it might be a strong negative wind, a strong positive wind. You're the one that determines which way that wind is going to blow. But it's subtle. It kind of floats up and asks for your attention, and the attention that you pay to it, now you are expressing that I am that I am. There is a law so close to us that it goes unnoticed. It is the law by which all things are made and are sustained. This, if you catch this, there is a divine mind. We call it God. He doesn't care what you call it, but we call it God. This divine mind is everywhere, present, everywhere powerful, and everywhere all-knowing. It is in everything, and yet it is outside of everything, and it has created all things. So if this divine mind is what it is, just think, when it contemplates itself, it sees a picture within itself, and that picture is immediately expressed in the visible. So when God contemplated himself, he appears as trees, he appears as rocks, as mountains, clouds, animals, flowers. seasons. You see what I'm saying? But what's the most important thing? He comes forth as man. That's the point you got to catch. God contemplating himself expresses as man. So therefore, if God contemplated himself, herself, itself, and comes forth as man, then God continues to contemplate itself, and whatever is necessary for itself, herself, himself, expresses. Now you can see Jesus in the wilderness. When there was no food, what did he do? He looked at God, contemplating himself, and therefore, whatever God contemplates is. He doesn't have to whip up a batter. He doesn't have to go anywhere, pull it off the shelf. So therefore, food is there if that's the necessary thing. Peter, go down to the water, the first fish. What is Jesus contemplating? God contemplating himself, and therefore the tax money is available. When? Now. Wow. Sickness and disease. God contemplating himself. You see, Jesus never went anywhere to come up with an understanding to heal people. He knew that God is the divine mind contemplating itself all the time. Therefore, whatsoever is necessary for the visible experience is with that person. So where do we miss the boat? We believe that we've got to go out and do something to get what out here good for us, when in actuality, where is it? Within us, always. Why? Because we are the image of God. Not reflection. Not reflection. Image. Therefore, whatever God is, his image contains all of that. So therefore, that's how we discipline ourselves to look at God contemplating himself, because whatsoever is necessary for God to have a harmonious expression is always flowing from the contemplation of himself. That's answered prayer. You and me, we as we look as ourselves should never have to ask God for anything except let us see you contemplating yourself all the time, and whatsoever is born of God lives harmoniously. That which I behold is the product of my belief. Can you see that now? If I decide that I'm going to live my life as a person and choose the things that I'm going to believe, that is what is going to appear as my world. Ever been in a conversation with someone and you look at them and say, "Don't you see that?" And they look at you and go, "No, I don't see it." Because they're holding something else in their conscience, and they're looking at you like, you don't see it. Now, can you see how powerful you are? Can you see now that you are the one that's putting yourself in jail? You are the one that's putting yourself in poverty. You are the one that's putting yourself in bad health. Why? Because you're looking for it outside of yourself instead of realizing that God contemplated himself and appears as man, as woman. Therefore, whatsoever God contemplates is with him all the time. Our only discipline is what? Look at him contemplating himself and keeping ourselves away from the thing that's coming at us. And that puts us on another point. And very important. Why then is all this ugly happening to me? To drive you out of you. Can you see it? But what do we do instead? We react to it, don't we? No, you're not going to do this to me. Ain't nobody going to talk to me like that. You're not going to overtax me. No, you're not going to. No. And we keep ourselves locked up by reacting to something that is coming to drive us out of ourselves. Therefore, whosoever shall lose his life shall find it. But whosoever shall fight to keep his life will lose it. Can you see now why the gospel is foolishness to the average man out there? This doesn't make any sense. You're not going to take my life, and God will look at you and say, what life do you have? I never gave you a life. Somebody told you that I gave you a life, and look at how's it working out for you. When you first started out, you thought you were going to be on it. By the time I retire or whatever, I'm going to be a millionaire or millionaires, right? How's it working for you? When Paul said, my God shall supply all of your needs according to his riches in Christ Jesus. In him we live. Oh, Lord. In him we live. In him we move. In him we have our being. So therefore our responsibility is to what? Focus on him, contemplating himself. Now it makes sense. In him we live. In him we move. In him we have our being. When this first came to me, I said, I can't really talk to this. I got to prove this before I talk about it. And I was on my way home just a couple of days ago, and I thought about one of my friends, and I said, I haven't heard from them in over a month. I wonder what they're up to. And dropped it. I get home, and about an hour later, I hear my phone go bing, and I look down, and guess who it is? My friend. Oh, I was just thinking about you, just thought I'd holler at you and say, how you doing? I said, wow. In him we live. In him we move. In him we have our being. So what happened? I looked at God, contemplating my friend. The picture of my friend flashed in my consciousness, which was with God, and whatsoever flashes with God is right now. And therefore I dropped it. It became what? Answered prayer. And in a short time, what happened? Bing! I didn't tell my friend. But guess who I did tell? I told Kenny. I told him. What did I tell him? Dude, you need to quit looking out here. You need to keep looking at him, contemplating. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the law. I'm looking at the law that cannot be changed. I'm looking at a law that cannot be subverted. I'm looking at a law that somebody out there can't do anything to. They can't stop it. So now look how ridiculous it is to say, you think we could do something to get God back in the schools? God never left the school. People just didn't know how to pray. You mean? Yeah, that's right. Can't nobody stop you from praying. Well, what is prayer? Looking at God, contemplating himself, and saying, speak, Lord, righteous judgment. And God is going to use righteous judgment And I don't have to get up in anybody's face. I don't have to sit before the Senate committee. I don't have to write editorials. I don't have to do anything. Why? Because my trust is fixed on God, and I will not fear evil tidings. That is pure wisdom. I saw somebody on Facebook the other day put on there, wisdom ain't all it's cracked up to be. I just started shaking my head. I said, there's a Christian right there that ain't even cracked his Bible. Because what do they think? They think that wisdom is something that you determine through your five senses. My Bible tells me that God created wisdom before he formed the hills and the mountains. How in the world can that be something not cracked up to be? I am seeing what I form in my consciousness according to the law that worketh within me. My conscious awareness has formed the appearance of that which will come to me. Now you can understand why I can walk around and I can expect what? Good. So what if I see the appearance of bad? What do? That's not for me. Why? Because I'm disciplining myself to watch the law of God express harmony. Man was not created to cry. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It is the Father's desire that you bear much fruit. It is the Father's desire to prune the branches which you are. I am the vine, he is the root. Ye are the branches. How does God prune branches? He doesn't prune them by killing them, y'all. He doesn't prune them by putting them in wheelchairs. He doesn't prune the branches by taking loved ones out of their lives. How does he prune them? He prunes them by showing you the false beliefs that you are carrying in your consciousness and saying, cut them off, ignore them, push them aside. Look unto me. Look only at me. Now you see the three Hebrew boys. What were they looking at when they went in the fiery furnace? Were they looking at the fire or were they looking at God? Now you see Daniel going in the lion's den. What was he looking at? Was he looking at the lions or the hunger of the lions, or was he looking at God? You see Jesus going to the cross. What did he say? Father, forgive them. He was not looking at the ugliness. When he went into death, as we call it, what was he looking at? He said, I'll see y'all in 3 days. You cannot take your eyes off God. Well, should I close them? No, don't close your eyes to the thing that's going on. Look at it. Look at it and tell it where to go. For me? Yeah, I see you. But I'm going to look at God. Well, what if I come at you and you need to dodge? I'm going to dodge you. But I'm going to look at God while I'm dodging you. You see what I'm saying? You don't ignore it. You look at it. Even Luke had to face Vader. You see what I'm saying? You got to face the evil. Look at it, but don't try to do anything with it. I experience in others, what's this? I experience in others what I have formed in myself. You see now? So don't look at that person and ask, why are you acting like this? Why are you doing? I formed you. I did it ignorantly, but I can correct it. How do I correct it? I am that I am. I am love. I am the love of all. That's not going to make that person like me. I don't want to force them to like me. But like I tell you all the time, who's your best friend? I am. I'm your best friend. I don't care how you treat me. I am your best friend. Why? Because when you need me, regardless of what we've been going through, I'm going to be there. And you may want to use me. Go ahead. You can't use me. I am willing to be your friend. And what is your friend? I'm going to lay my life down, which would be that life that I'm expressing out here, the one of the senses. I'm going to lay it down that you might come to an understanding of the law that dwells within you. By stating what I believe to be so, I solidify within myself laws by which I shall live. The world of things is not made of that which appears, but it is made of that which is believed. Thereby we see that the things which are seen are not made of the things which do appear. Well, we passed this a few minutes ago. The things that appear are made of what? God contemplating himself. Hello? Now we don't spend any time on what came first, the chicken or the egg. Who cares? God came first. God appears as an egg. God appears as a chicken. Who cares? The important thing is what? God is appearing. God is contemplating. That's why, I had to tell a man the other day. He said this person was 95 years old, and they told her they couldn't have an operation. He said, I hate to say it, but they had already lived their life. I said, when did God put you in charge? Who told you that life was over at 95? I said, dude, Moses didn't even start till he was 80. Grandma Moses was in her 80s when she painted her first picture. The guy with the chocolate chip cookies, famous Amos. Shoot, Colonel Sanders was 64 when he started KFC. I said, dude, let me ask you a question. He said, what? I said, when did God put us in control of population control? We got a God out here that's created a whole world and a universe, and you trying to tell me that he did not take into consideration how many people were going to be on this planet? He has to give it to us to genocide people. He has to. I remember when I worked at Ford Motor Company, we're going to start making cars that only hold 5 passengers. I was there when they were planning it. All of a sudden, people out on the street going, and I wish I could get a bench seat in the front. Can't. You want a bench seat, you better get a station wagon or a van. When did God put us in control of population? You see, it's the person who is able to contemplate God, contemplating himself. That is the person that goes untouched. And he will look strange. She will look strange out here in the world because people won't understand them, and they'll think they're just being a rebel or they're just being idiotic or they're just doing. No. What do you think that person is doing 24/7? Contemplating God, contemplating himself. Therefore, I will not fear what man shall do to me. Who is man who has breath in his nostrils? I am in the Father. I am in that divine mind. That divine mind is what created me. Therefore, I am not made of that which I appear. I'm not made of flesh and bone and hearts and livers and whatnot. No. I'm made of the divine substance, which I refer to as the Father. It is maintained and sustained by the belief carried within the individual. Now we see Joshua. Choose you this day who you will serve. But the word spoke to him and said what? Only be ye strong and courageous. Like I told you last week, faith does not deliver you. Don't let anybody tell you faith delivers you. No, faith is the substance that causes you to stand on a principle. So you can have negative faith. You can have faith to rob a bank. If you stand on it, you may be successful in robbing the bank. You can have faith to move towards God. See, faith is the substance that causes you to stand firm and move. What follows faith? Hope. Not that thing where they tell you, well, I'm trying to hope. No. That's what we have been sold on, that hope is. No. Hope is that thing that you're after, anchored on the throne of God. Can't be moved, can't be detached. So now I'm moving in hope. You see it? My faith has me standing on a principle. My hope is assured. Why? Because I'm looking at God, and God is saying, whatsoever you ask in my name, not by speaking the name of Jesus. How's that working for the church? It ain't working. No. In my name means I am absorbing the truth of what Jesus came. That's in his name. I am living by the principle that Jesus, the Savior, was. That's in his name. Now, whatsoever I ask in his name, and in his name, what comes after hope? Love. Paul said, I show you a better way. Love. Love ye one another as I have loved you. Hello? It's not hard work, working around the clock. Oh, yeah, you may get your results. But you ever notice all the things you lose while you pour yourself into one thing? People have lost their families. They've lost their health. They've lost their homes. They've lost their respectability. But God said, no. I'm going to keep all that intact. Why? Because I love you. I love you, and I need you to love me. If you love me, then I'll show that love how to love your enemy and your neighbor. All things act in accordance with the consciousness that created it. I am that I am. Once you understand that, what can be kept from you? Because I am that. When I contemplate God contemplating himself, I'm contemplating me. Can you see it? I don't need to tell anybody what I'm going to do. I don't need to tell anybody what I desire. I don't need to say a word. Just think about it. God doesn't need words. God is. That's it. And if I exist, I is. And if I is, I have. I don't need you. But I will share with you. I can't prove any of this to you. But one day you may be contemplating God, and what might you decide? Man, that dude seems like he always got. I might walk over and ask him how he's doing it. Bing. You're going to prove it to yourself now. I can't prove it to you. When consciousness is pure, all things are pure. What is a pure consciousness? I make no judgments. Do you remember Jesus saying that? I judge no man. You mean I just got to stand here and watch and look at all this? Yep. Don't make a judgment. What do I do? Look at God, contemplating himself, and he will flash something in your consciousness, and you get ready. It's going to show up. But it's going to be good, isn't it? It's going to be good. When consciousness finds no fault, there will be no fault that acts upon it. Why? Because consciousness is divine. Who shall overthrow me? I'm with my Father. I and my Father are one. As all erroneous beliefs are removed from consciousness, it will express the purity that it is. I and my consciousness are one. That which I see, I be. Where do I see it? I see it in the Father contemplating himself. It's that simple. It has to be. That's why he did what? He invited little children. That's how simple it is. He invited little children to do it. Oh, my God. Well, what's the work? Getting rid of that old man that's got to be somebody, got to defend himself, got to reflect his environment, got to reflect who he thinks he is, got to demand respect, got to get rid of him. That which I see, I be. So how in the world can I really, really get confidence in that? Whatsoever I see the Father doing, I be. Whatsoever I hear the Father saying, I be. That's my total protection. I and the Father are one. As I believe, I shall see openly. I now recognize my true identity. Consciousness is what I am. Because the eye of man is God, begin right now to be a prophet. Don't go out and proclaim yourself to be a prophet, okay? You're not looking for that type of recognition, but it's internal. God has given you the ability to be a prophet and prophesy that the ultimate destiny of man is freedom. For everybody you come in contact with, tell them they're free. Don't look at how they look to be enslaved by something of the senses. Don't look at that. Tell them your destiny is freedom. You don't have to bring it about by wars. You don't have to bring it about by rebellion. Be still and know that I am God. Sit still and know that I am God. And soon those out in the world will begin setting you free. And they will not know why. Yes, you can prophesy that the destiny of this world is freedom from sin, disease, death, from bondage, and from limitation. The beginning of that freedom comes with the realization of the nature of God, the nature of I. That is enough. That one truth will begin to break all the crust of limitations and outside powers that bind you. Just be still. Be still and know that I am God. I will never leave thee. I am thy bread. I am thy intelligence. I am thy safety. I am thy security. In that stillness, you have gone beyond words and thoughts to the very center of all being, and there you can rest. I am consciousness. Consciousness is what I am. Consciousness is instantaneous prayer answered. I am that I am. God bless you.